I did email.
What you learned?
Well, this for this because I emailed the lady about internship, but she
didn't email you back.
Well, she's out of the office until Monday. Because I got the little reply back. So.
Yeah, she emailed you back. She ain't come back until next Monday?
Yeah. I don't know. She might be off this whole week.
That's stupid.
But you know, sometimes when you email people, you get a little auto reply. So it auto reply that she'll be out of office until Monday. Okay, everybody out. Email Miss Ghost the other day, and I got that.
What Miss Ghost been here? She ain't even here today.
I don't know. I saw her the other day. All right, so we're gonna define what a pressure ulcer is. We're gonna identify causes of pressure ulcer. Have y'all got in y'all group?
No, but I picked mine.
What Dawn at?
Dawn is my name.
Oh.
So I'll let y'all. Have y'all decided who's doing what yet? None of that.
How many people got been in here?
It's 4 to a group. It's 8 in the class.
Jalen.
What the heck you better get up and come here?
I'm trying to
So I'll let y'all do that toward the end. Y'all can figure that out and all that stuff. Okay? Did I tell y'all when y'all work team test is?
October 19th.
So they changed it then, because they told us last week it was like the.
Because they said grades and the first I said the 15th.
Yeah.
And then
That's why I
the
thought it's
19th.
a whole lot to be happening, because you know the 10th grade takes the test every 8.
Yes, that's what I'm
It's a
saying.
whole lot for grades to be doing this week. That's why I wonder. But when he sent us the email out, he put the 19th, so I was trying to see which one was the right date.
Yeah, because I think Miss Johnson told us.
Yeah, when they emailed us initially, they said the 12th was the 10th grade, and then y'all was either the 13th or the 14th.
We the 19th.
And then when he emailed us the other day, it said y'all was the 19th. So I was like, I guess they'll tell us tomorrow in our meeting. We'll know for sure.
So we don't do it one day or the whole week?
I would do better one day. It shouldn't take that long. Okay.
I'm talking about teams, like students that's not here. I'm talking about like the students that's not here. What they gonna do with them?
What do you do? Like what is?
It's like it has 3 different parts, like a part math. What's the other part? Workplace document, and I can't never remember the third.
How long do they be taking?
We did them last year. My kids was gone. That last 10, I'm telling you, the last day I had my school done in an hour. You know,
What is it?
It's for like some companies. Some companies look at those scores like when you get a job. So like some might require it, so if you already got it, you don't have to worry about taking it.
I think I want to go back and read.
So it's like
I think I
ACT.
missed a couple of them.
Not really like that, but it's just like a
Questionnaire.
well, it's not math and stuff. I mean, it's like a test, but it's not like not like.
Like we shouldn't worry about it now.
But I think you got to have. It's for y'all. I think you got to have a 4 and above. So if you benchmark at 4, then you're good.
But what do they have to do with the ACT?
It's by the people that make the ACT, but it's not. It has nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the 10th grade gonna take the pre-ACT, and then y'all take it. I'm saying, because I guess everything was delayed last year, because we didn't do it until the spring last year.
Almost the end of school.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody said I'm on quarantine.
I said, what's your name? I know they be like, this lady. I said, what's your name? She's like, what? I said, you're right, never seen you before. I came the first day. I didn't know
And they said training in the field.
one boy came here and told me he gonna be in my class in more time. They gonna put me in your class. We do work in my class. Who?
The second like he be having bumps and stuff in there.
Oh,
Look at Jalen.
That's just so nasty.
Okay, queen.
Pressure ulcers.
All right, so.
Why people get so old?
There you go. He doing that way. The one with the forks. He just went that way.
Yeah.
I just every time I stand up here, he walks by.
He's playing with you here.
He's like, it's hard than me.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm from a time where,
That ain't it.
Well, yeah, cause my husband.
Where you came from, is he?
What you mean? Why I
came from a time.
I said, I'm from a time where that's not.
Time.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh, 1930s.
No.
Oh,
That look like a 1930.
that look like a 19.
Yes.
That is a 1930.
Oh,
Maybe a 38.
About your elders.
that's not.
We said what she looked like. She looked like she was 1930.
I'm so good.
I'm loving the hair though. It's cute.
I just wake up every day and thank God for not making me white.
Oh my God. What?
What?
All right, back to the.
Y'all don't do that?
No.
I'm not white.
Oh, that's so sweet.
My mama white.
That is so adorable though.
You just
What? I like sweet white people.
sweet old white people. I don't like them
Don't
folks that
do-
be rude.
I
The
don't
one that
do
blow my
the one
hair
that
down.
blow. I don't do they so racist down there.
Oh, they
I'm
so
saying, when we
racist
down there,
down
like my mama, like you can see like the difference in like how they treat them. You see my mama, like when they, you know how they can tell.
Like that she mixed.
Yeah, they like the way they treat my cousin. And I'm like, ooh, that don't make me so mad.
What she said?
Like the way you talk white people, like they know, like you, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, they'll treat you nice. Then they see like somebody that's black, like my cousin, them. Oh, they be so mean. They was reporting my uncle when he was stealing something. Like, girl, so mad. I was like, you got someone who be racist, especially the one in Florida.
They do be racist.
That's a Republican state.
I like when white people be sweet.
What you call
that
her,
work with
bro?
my mom, she's so sweet. I get her a hug every time I see her.
You
You
get
go
who?
on.
No, somebody that works with my mom. My grandparents is black. Except for, well, my grandpa on my daddy's side, he's real light. He
So
like
light
light, he lighter
skin.
than Dakar actually. And his mama is white. She's a sweetie though.
So you mix with white. You got a little white in your blood, then.
Ooh. But see, even 75, 25, it's not even 50.
Okay.
Go.
Alright, so bedridden patients are at risk of developing pressure ulcers. Pressure ulcers, also called decubitus ulcers or bed sores. Y'all know what bed sores are.
Can I see what one looks like?
They're probably gonna put one up here in a second. Are skin and tissue injuries that are caused by unrelieved pressure on specific areas of the body. If the body is left in one position for too long, ulcers can form. Pressure ulcers are much easier to prevent than to treat. For this reason, healthcare workers must take every precaution to turn patients regularly and to properly report changes in patients' skin condition. So that's why it's important to make sure, like, your patient, especially if they can't get up themselves and stuff, that you turn them, because if you lay for in one spot for too long, it'll start breaking down your skin, and then you'll start getting like ulcers and stuff.
Causes of pressure
What
ulcers.
happened in like old nursing homes, like when we treat older people?
Yeah, they don't turn them, they don't rotate them. Now in the hospital, we're supposed to prevent that. They rotate them like every 2 hours.
So why would they have it, like, because they just send us spot over, because because of like pee,
Well, bed sores is probably because of if they're laying in a certain spot, like they're not getting moved. If they can't do it themselves,
Yeah, like they old and they can't.
Yeah, like us, we know if we don't feel comfortable, we'll reposition ourselves.
But they can't.
But they can't. So the primary cause of pressure ulcers is unrelieved pressure on the body over a period of time. The following conditions may increase a patient's risk of developing pressure ulcers. So prolonged pressure that prevents circulation to an area of the body, so that's like laying in one spot. Pressure on a bony prominence of the body, friction against the bed linens or mattress, shearing, which is when the skin is pulled in the opposite direction as the bone, moisture, dry skin, or irritation by urine or feces. So I guess so, like if they
Sometimes
If
they're
they
not checking the older people
Yeah.
too. They not caring for them right.
it's probably a combination of probably those two, like not checking them and then them being in the same spot all the time.
But also for that, that's why you shouldn't send like your parents to no old people home and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And them people be treating them old people.
I
and
just
stuff. Yeah. Mom ain't never going that.
Location of pressure.
Alright, so pressure ulcers locations. Healthcare workers should regularly observe patients' skin for signs of pressure ulcers. Special attention should be given to bony areas of the body called pressure points. Pressure points bear the weight of the body when the body is in certain positions. Pressure points include heels, knees, shoulders, shoulder blades, elbows, tailbone, and the back and sides of the head. In addition, pressure ulcers may occur whenever skin is in contact with other skin. This is especially true in obese patients. In these cases, healthcare workers should look for pressure ulcers between abdominal folds, the legs, the butt, and the breast. So when patients usually come in the hospital, especially if they came from nursing homes and stuff, they would turn them and look like when they're getting them dressed up, and they'll take pictures of anything that might look like it can be a pressure also, because you don't want that. Okay, so they come in like that, and they're not taking care of them at the nursing home, or they're not taking care of them at home. You bring them to the hospital, they're gonna try and put the blame saying we're not doing our job. So they'll take pictures just to have a record of what, anything that might look like, could be a pressure ulcer or could develop. They'll take pictures of it.
So why they call it pressure?
Because it's pressure. Ulcers are like holes. Like you get an ulcer in your stomach or like in your mouth.
Now.
People get ulcers.
That ain't herpes.
That's what it is.
Sometimes like when you have like braces and stuff, you know how the brackets are like, it'll cut and it kind of, it's pressing against your gums, and sometimes you get like little sores in your mouth from that.
Oh, someone just
Jenny, you ain't never had one of them?
No.
I mean, some people like, it's all your, all that stuff pressing
Man,
against.
I ain't got breast.
Me there.
Huh?
Hold on. I feel like that.
Huh?
I feel like that.
Where are patients likely to develop pressure ulcers?
All of
I
them.
said all of the above.
Right. So pressure points wherever skin touches other skin on the back of the head.
What do you mean by when other skin touch other skin?
Like probably like your arms,
Like,
your
how you got
skin.
that jiggly stuff on your arm? Folks that be fat and they be having like their arm fat that move. And it touch, like, you close your arm and it touch the other part of your arm.
I mean, but if you close your arm now, I don't have jiggly, whatever you said.
No, that's for fat people.
Can you get it from sweating, like under, like ulcers and stuff? Sweating.
Now there's a condition that I'm learning about.
Right now?
That's disgusting.
You sweating your breast?
Who's sweating from their breast?
I thought what your girl just said.
No, I said under your arm.
On their arm. It's a skin condition that it's called hidradenitis suppurativa, and it's like your sweat glands get infected.
They don't people be peeing in it now. You need to be
No.
all up in
No.
What they saw that?
What is she talking
I
about?
don't know.
You don't know when people get heavier.
And then like the flap be like over the other flap, so it just
The
be
flap
bump.
of what?
Skin. Fat.
Like
Ooh.
that, and then you put it up in it.
No, I'm
dirty
talking
as
about. No, I'm not. I'm talking about like your sweat glands can get like inflamed. Like it has something to do like your hair follicles and stuff like that.
Like when somebody get a bump under their arm.
Yeah, like that.
Oh.
Like anywhere that hair grows, as we are minorities, right? So our hair is naturally like curly.
No.
It's
Nappy.
Oh, can my cousin use
No, my hair is curly. So
I got
don't know.
nappy.
Mine too. I ain't seen that nap yet. So.
What you
My
say,
hair
Cara?
like my cousin, like I when she was young, she used to put her deal, she used to like rub it. You don't supposed to do that. You supposed to go down.
Was she used to go in the circle with it?
Yeah, when she was
With what?
with her deodorant. But then it created an abscess under her arm because the hair going into the skin.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
like when your hair grows, so
Your
like
underarm.
under our arms, the hair is gonna be curly, and our private part, your hair is gonna be curly.
Mine be.
And so like when your hair, when your hair grows, sometimes when your hair grows, it'll curve back. Your hair will grow back, and it curves.
So it's gonna make any skin?
Yeah, it's kind of
Like a hairball.
Yeah, it's like they call it like folliculitis or like your hair follicle. You know your hair follicle. That's where your hair comes out of. But African Americans, we get it more because our hair is naturally curly. Y'all ain't weaving that up or weaving this up or putting curves. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be curly.
do.
They do what they do,
Listen.
but
Let's say something. Let's say hard.
But I had one like probably back in April, and it hurt so bad. So I went to the urgent care, and she told me it was like folliculitis, which my hair follicle was inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
And then my doctor was like, "Well, you should let your hair grow out." Excuse me?
I don't feel like it.
No, sir. It's got to come off. Like under my arm.
Oh no.
Because it's
That
like,
make you sweat worse when you have hair in your arm.
I don't know because I don't do that, but but
Now
I'm
we here.
but I'm just saying
But as soon
like
as I feel a little bit,
The little bump was
Oh,
hurting
you
so
was
bad,
there
so I went and they had to give me like a shot.
You didn't think it was a razor bump at first?
No, like I didn't know what it was at first, but it started hurting like really, really bad, and like it was hurting like all down my arm and stuff. So I went, yeah, because I guess they press on like a nerve. Like it was like really like for me to go somewhere, it was really hurting. And then so they gave me some antibiotics. She said I had like my hair follicles and everything. But my regular doctor, when I told him about it, he was telling me about that disease, and he was telling me things I could do, and he was like, you should just let your hair grow. No, sorry, that's not happening.
So did it go away with the antibiotics? Did it go away with the antibiotics?
Yeah, it went down.
I would have have to bust it.
No, that's what he said. He's like, sometimes they'll, I said,
Then another one gonna try to come.
Yeah.
I can hear you running. Is there any other
Yeah.
options?
He said let it go out.
Yeah, he told me that. I was like, no.
You must be crazy.
But when I was telling him, I said, yeah, I had to go to the urgent care because I had this thing, and he asked me, have you ever heard of this? They call it HS, and I'm like, no.
It sounds like a disease.
It's like an autoimmune disease. Well, it's a skin condition. And
You
he
got a
was telling
skin condition, Miss Ann?
no, let me tell the story.
Oh.
I don't have it, but when I was explaining to him
Please.
why I went to the urgent care,
Mhm.
and I told him, and I said, well, she told me it was an inflamed hair follicle, and then he was telling me about that condition. So no, I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but he was just telling me about it, and he was telling me how he had to like drain people and cut into them, and I was looking at him like,
Cut into them?
yeah, because sometimes the only way they get relief,
That's what it's giving.
only way they get relief is if they cut it.
To let all the pressure out.
Yeah, to let the pressure out. But he was telling me, he was telling me about it, but I
You did
think,
the research on it?
oh, you know I did. So I think it's hereditary. I think my daddy actually has
Has it?
it.
He
Because,
never done nothing.
no, I mean he goes to the doctor because he gets these like he get on his back like this like little, it's kind of like a little lump,
Well, look.
and it hurts, and it like it has splints that'll come out and stuff like that.
Oh.
Like he gets them in different places. That they come in different places. They usually come like under your arm, like your growing area.
That's
yeah.
Well, you know you sweat and stuff too.
Yeah, sweat. So that's what. And I was like, so my daddy, he's always outside working and stuff. So he's
Yeah,
always
That's
there.
probably why.
So I started all the little light bulbs
My
started going off
girlfriend
in my
get
head.
those.
Huh?
My girlfriend get those.
Yeah. But
These
like
old-
a lot
old
of people
really
don't.
be doing everything. Like,
But a lot of people don't. They're ashamed of them. But like, I looked it up, and some people got it so bad. Like,
I feel sorry for
everywhere.
you.
But see, my girlfriend don't got that many. Like it's like one on his chest. I know it's like one on his
Yeah.
back, like right here.
Nah,
right
that's
here.
crazy.
my mama
Yeah.
He working
husband.
his son. So
yeah.
But also that gotta be painful.
My mama husband,
It
he
do
actually
hurt
got a
him.
skin
It
condition.
do.
Like he get little bumps on his head, on his chest. It's
Okay.
just everyone on his whole body. But the thing is, he got it from his mama.
Do they hurt?
I mean, they be bleeding, they stink.
That might be it. You know what it's called?
I know me who?
You know what it's called?
No, I don't want to be around that.
Well, just ask him.
I ain't
That's
gonna ask
what I'm
him that.
talking about.
I'm not gonna ask that man that. I'm gonna ask my mama. Let me call her real
But
quick.
your dad, if here, he probably do have you.
Oh, my dad ain't got that.
No, I'm coming here, and he probably do.
Yeah, like when he told me about it, when he mentioned it to me, then I started looking it up.
Did you call
and
and ask him?
then I was like,
Yeah, I said he probably do
Yeah.
that.
You asked
Is
him?
that what you
My
can
dad-
treat it?
He don't know. He's 71. He don't know what it's called.
Is that the way you
So
can
I'll
treat
be
it?
like,
Did it look like yours?
I don't know. Mine was under my arm, so like it's just hard to get a good look.
Look in the mirror.
But mine didn't ooze anything on it.
Only one that big, it was just like a
No,
little
but
bump.
it hurt so bad. But you know from what I read, when it first started out, it might be like one bump, and then it might go down. But see, the thing is, they come back. You know what I'm saying? Even
Yeah.
if you take medicine, they come back. But he said they could be. He didn't say that's what I had.
a
I
lot of
haven't
people said like, you know, like the way you put on your deodorant, and over the fact that like, you know, when you get in the shower, you're not scrubbing good enough to get all that deodorant off you. So like when you get in the bed, you go to sleep, you kind of swim a little bit.
And that's why
And
you
so,
put
like,
a limit on your arm too, to get all that stuff from
But y'all know, like those regular deodorants, they got all this aluminum stuff in it. They say that it's like could be like a cause.
I'm using them Badoo.
Yeah, cause I had to start using those. I use Degree. Oh yeah, I use Degree.
I use a natural.
You talking about deodorant or soap? I was talking about soap.
I use the soap, but I just think
I like the liquid one. I use
it break me out.
Yeah, I switched everybody to this natural deodorant. Like, this white lady made it. It's called Clay Fit.
I heard of that.
Yeah, it's got like, what's your name? What's your name?
They got a smell to it.
It smells good.
Oh, I think
Like, they got king, queen, so I get myself a queen, my husband get a king, and his kids get
Princess Prince.
lemon
Not
something.
like this.
Oh, this the name of deodorant.
The flavor, like the scent.
So you said it's natural.
Yeah, all that, it don't have all those,
Artificial stuff in it.
Like, so the part, the deodorants have those antiperspirants in it. So what that does is dries you up from sweating. But sweating is a natural thing because
I mean, we can't stop it.
it gets the toxins out. You know
I
how
know I
your
be
body-
sweating
What
on
about
shit.
people who don't have no sweat glands?
Some
So
people
they
get
just
them
got
taken
toxins
out.
in their body?
Like my mama, she go
Yeah.
out sweat, but then like mom, she go outside, like she come in, like my grandma, like I told you, my grandma, she white boy, she come inside, I'm like, oh my god, like you can smell it.
But some people just don't sweat. Like when me and my friend got to the gym,
She'll smell
like
like
she was
outside.
looking like somebody done poured water on them. I don't sweat like that. I never have.
Good.
But some people just sweat like some of these kids be coming here like, where you been? You been running to school? Like they be sweating. I be like, what's happening? Like they be having sweat all.
My cousin, she don't do nothing like that. When she go outside, she like it's genetic. Her dad would like that.
Some people just sweat.
Yeah,
really
she
bad.
had to take like baths 2-3 times. That's how bad she sweat. All her clothes be soaking wet. Like she
If
just.
I sweat like that, baby, I probably wouldn't leave the house because I'd be having to take a bath. I'd be like, oh, time for y'all. We went to we had brunch with some of my lunches yesterday, and we was outside like a little table. And I said, I'm gonna go home and take another shower. It was hot, and we had umbrellas. They were like, oh, y'all very
But
crazy.
here, what I told you, better take one Saturday to that game.
What? Oh, I'm
It's gonna
taking.
be so high. I'm telling you.
I'm.
Don't wear no wig.
Florida so hot. Don't wear no wig. You see me with a wig on.
You should get a wig.
Uh-uh.
I can give you a girl who can put it on for you. It'd be so cute.
No, you
You should have brought all this hair down.
Just who the
She'll braid it for
Oh my
you.
God.
Rich Shay, it's a lot of people,
Her
right?
name's Shay.
High risk patients.
That's a lot of people what?
It's a lot of people be having a lot of hair braided all the way to the back just to put a wig on. Now you think they can't handle your hair?
I ain't
I
saying
don't know if I blow it out. It's just gonna look so thick and pretty.
All she gotta do is blow it out for you, and she braid it.
We hear a lot of
Braid
talking
it,
about
braid it, and then she thread them all in the back. That'd be so cute. What she say?
You know about people want to blow it out.
I do get my hair blown out.
As soon as they walk outside.
But that's what I'm
Community.
saying. It'd be a waste of money when I get my hair blown out because it goes like this. That's why we do it like once a year.
That's when you get your ends cut too.
When it
Miss
gets
Hannah.
scrunchy real
Miss
tight,
Hannah,
and
when it
then,
get
like,
cold.
roll
That's when
it
you get your
into
ends
straight.
cut too.
Y'all gotta have to finish y'all hair, cause that's what I do.
Why you get it one?
You have to
Well, it
You know how
just
to
depends.
finish.
Like,
Oh, but hairstyle you got
I ain't gonna never finesse these now. So you gonna go ahead and let me hear.
It just feels
She talking about
strong.
I don't know. It's crazy stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, we just talking about unicorn noises. That's how we like the church. So get away from me.
That's what I be saying when I listen. I'm just kidding.
Nah, you ain't kidding.
You
Ooh, I be laughing.
I hope they show
High
me
risk
a bed
patients.
sore, baby.
They probably will. Let's see.
I want to see what it looks like.
All right. So, all patients are at risk of getting pressure ulcers. However, pressure ulcers are especially common in patients who are elderly or very thin because their bodies may be frail and more likely to bruise, obese because their weight may cause increased pressure on the body, and because ulcers often develop between folds of skin, diabetic because their bodies have poor circulation, poorly nourished or dehydrated because their bodies may be unable to heal or sustain pressure, incontinent because they are more likely to have areas of wetness next to their bodies, confined to a bed or wheelchair because they are unable to move their bodies or eliminate pressure. Which of the following can increase a patient's risk of developing pressure ulcers?
I think it's all of the above.
Right. So unrelieved pressure, pressure that prevents circulation, friction against bed linen, shearing, all of them.
So is it like a bed sore?
Yeah.
Like laying on? Oh.
So I mean, in the hospital they'll say,
You talking about the actual sword?
huh?
When you say bed sore, you talking about the actual sore?
Sore, but it's from, you know, not moving or, you know, people that can't walk.
Oh, so that's what it means?
Probably.
That's what
I
it
don't,
means.
you don't get down there.
Cause like I be in the bed sometimes and my body will hurt because I've been laying in the same spot too
Yeah,
long.
but you know, you'll reposition. You know what I'm saying? But,
Like when you got them lines on your body from laying in your bed too long or laying on something too long, is that like a
no.
pressure?
Well, maybe pressure, yes, but you gotta be like, it gotta be like, you know, but y'all are all, you know, in good health. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all up and moving around, and these are people that can't do anything or obese.
Ooh.
Only obese patients are at risk of developing pressure ulcers. Only obese. That's positive.
I'm pretty sure
Stages
obese
of pressure.
got pressure ulcers and
You sure what?
huh? Obese people. Like they
Well, if that-
especially 600-pound life.
What they do, like, you know, sometimes you see them lift up their skin, you know, their folds, and they'll have like,
That's what Jada was talking about.
yeah, chafing and cause it's rubbing together.
And then high risk
It
for
didn't be
older
red.
too.
It's getting weird.
Stage 2. Tissue damage is visible on the top lip.
I'm sorry, Miss Henry. What the hell do you be eating to be 700 pounds?
No, cause how you let yourself get that big?
That's my mama say that.
But you know, like people, like we were talking about my
People
other
get
class,
into depression real
yeah,
quick,
depression
and
and stuff like that. Like some people, if they depressed, they eat. Some people that are depressed don't eat. You know what I'm
Some
saying?
people that's depressed work out. Everybody got their own way of handling the different situations.
I read that the prick.
700 pounds.
I mean, I can eat some ice cream with a spoon in my bed, but I ain't finna get no 700 pounds.
Who finna?
Maybe drink a cup of water after
That's
that.
not no excuse, cause I be like, get your stuff and don't work out. My cousin, he's talking, he's 700 pounds. He's mom sick. And people be dying.
You know,
when
your
he fall
cousin?
out. Yeah, when he fall
He need
out.
to be on the show.
Yeah, he fall out.
They gonna get some money.
fault.
Hopefully he ain't falling nowhere. He's 700
Oh my
pounds.
God, you here.
I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
bad.
kids,
Cause he gonna roll right over.
He's 21. Miss
His
Aaron.
mama can't give him a
He's 21.
He been big all his life.
No, he just his mama she feed him all
When
that.
did he start getting all that weight?
His mama she feed him all that food. And she said that my mama was
What
frying
age
chicken.
range?
My mama was frying chicken finger, and his mama like we all gonna eat. All the family was over. She told me get him the whole bag of chicken fingers by himself.
Oh my God.
Bro, like he don't
He
need
probably
all
ate
the pan too.
Not the pan.
He ate the whole chicken fingers by himself. Then so he was like, what a large chocolate.
I watched the show because I be like, what?
Chocolate milkshake?
She said what?
What
He
a
ate a
large
large-
chocolate milkshake.
What was the rest of the family watching him eating?
That's his mama. That's her child.
That's your mama's sister child.
Yeah. That's,
You need to go there and push him. I went there and push
Don't you
him.
push him, you'll hurt yourself. You say he stank.
feel like the pain.
Oh, no, that don't mean so.
big for that. I be
You planning you for real?
I swear.
Jakar, you playing, bro?
I'm not lying.
I would have went there and beat him with a
But
broom.
wait, that's not my child.
That's your dad said. He died.
He too big to be disrespectful.
Ain't it?
He be disrespectful.
You know, all the fat people be
I
disrespectful.
don't care about your name.
I'll make it starve.
Well, I'm talking to him. He don't know how to deal with him.
So you gonna get mad if y'all bring him to eat?
He got his own car.
How?
What
How?
kind of car he got?
How? It must be a minivan.
He can't even get his little power.
Impala? Oh my God.
She just laughing.
Yeah.
Jakari lying, man.
I promise you
Jakari.
I'm not.
700
Take a
pounds.
Like,
picture.
what I have to lie for? Like, that's not my child. I don't have to lie for
Oh
him.
my God.
Because I don't talk to him.
He 21 and he's 700.
So he sounds like a baby.
A David.
No, his name Justin.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's like 90.
Don't none of y'all like Justice, don't it?
Let me look to the left.
He be stinking.
That ain't right. Why your grandma ain't never said like
But that's not her child. Like, we don't have to deal with it. That's my auntie child.
That's
She
not
got
my
my
child.
Drinking
That's-
like every time.
My mom can't stop him for eating. When he finna go come out, the refrigerator's gonna be trained up. He's
Oh.
gonna come out. He ain't finna eat nothing. And he gonna go.
I don't think he gonna be able to come over there,
You gonna
Jakari.
die.
Yeah. And he granddad tried to get him the weight loss, so he's like he ain't want it. But then you still gotta lose weight before you
You
get
gotta,
there.
you gotta lose weight before you get
His
there.
blood pressure and his everything got to be high.
Yeah, he don't.
And that's the thing, like when your heart start working so hard, all that fat and all that fat pressing on your
Yeah,
But he ain't got diabetes. It's good.
he gonna have it one day. People go.
Oh my god.
Woo. Okay, so a pressure ulcer starts as a small mark on the skin. However, it may develop into a serious wound if left untreated. Healthcare workers should be aware of the 4 stages of pressure ulcers. So stage 1,
Why is it so deep?
because it can get that deep. Stage 4.
It looks strange.
Stage 1, the skin is intact but is red or bluish gray in color. Color does not return to normal when the skin is relieved of pressure. Stage 2, you have tissue damage. It's visible on the top layer of the skin. The skin has cracked, blistered, or peeled over the wound. Stage 3, a deep open crater forms and reveals damaged underlying tissue. Drainage from the wound is likely. And then stage 4, muscle, tendon, and bone are exposed and are visibly damaged. Drainage is likely. So that's what they'll do. They'll take pictures to see what stage it is, like, possibly when they get there, just to make sure. So,
I'm gonna walk out.
all right.
I'm gonna do it. I can't be no doctor. I'm sorry. I've been walked out.
During surgery.
All right, so here go our different stages.
Stage 1 is number 3, I think.
Stage 1 is what?
Number 3, a deep open cradle form.
Stage 2 is the tissue.
Underlying tissue drainage from the wound.
Stage 2 is this? Okay.
Stage
4 is the last
is
one.
that third
The
one.
muscle. No,
Yeah,
stage
it's the last one.
stage 1 is the first one, I think.
No, and this stage 3 is the other one.
So don't tell me going in order.
Why is it in order?
That's what I'm saying. That can't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got this. That stuff be kind of
We
weird.
hear what Drake is going wrong. Right?
Observing pressure ulcer.
When a pressure ulcer is found on a patient's skin, healthcare workers must take special care to observe the ulcer for changes. All observations must be reported to the
There's a
supervisor.
lot of old people on this thing.
The following observations, you know they're old, should be
Sure,
made:
see.
location, appearance, size and depth, drainage, odor, condition of the surrounding skin.
So this for like people that's paralyzed from the neck down? What? Cause they can't. Huh? Why'd you call it that?
I don't know.
Cause you said like this good for anybody.
No, like for real, mainly obese people and people that's probably paralyzed, they can't move. Jakari, shut up.
All right, Franklin is a nursing assistant who just noticed a red bruise on a patient's tailbone. He believes the bruise may be a pressure ulcer in stage 1. What should Franklin do?
D.
Franklin should mind his business.
Oh,
That man gonna die.
not if Franklin want to hit paycheck. He gotta go tell somebody.
They gotta report to
Preventing
the
pressure ulcers.
All right, so how to prevent pressure ulcers? Healthcare workers must follow certain techniques to reduce the risk of pressure ulcers. The key to preventing pressure ulcers is to decrease skin pressure, promote cleanliness. So these people in the hospital that be refusing a bath, no ma'am, you need a bath.
Preventing pressure ulcers.
I ain't finna fight you to take no bath.
They do refuse to take baths, no, but
Her is so weak over here. I know y'all feel her.
Shelly had a patient that didn't want to take a bath. She wouldn't have told the nurse. The nurse said, "Oh no, baby, we ain't finna do this."
Oh yeah, they do.
Go ahead, you
They
refuse
refuse
to
all
Separate
the
body
time.
parts that are likely to rub together.
Like you already
Pillows,
eating
towel
this bath
rolls.
for free. Just go ahead and take a free bath.
All right, so
I hate folks.
you need to follow a turning schedule. Patients should be turned in bed at least every 2 hours. So that's why I say they'll come in there and rotate them every 2 hours.
She can move.
Separate body parts that are likely to rub together. Use pillows, towel rolls, and foam wedges according to your supervisor's instructions. Use protective devices according to your facility's policies. Protective devices include elbow protectors, heel elevators, bed cradles, flotation pads, and alternating pressure mattresses. Encourage patients who are sitting in chairs to reposition themselves every 15 minutes. Assist patients who are unable to reposition themselves. Perform range of motion exercises at least twice a day to promote circulation.
You read that thing.
How often should a patient
least
be
2
turned in
hours.
bed?
Every 2 hours.
At least every 2 hours, right? How often should range of motion exercises be performed?
At least once a day. At least. I'll make everybody get up and exercise. Or every 2 hours.
Twice a day. So probably in the morning and in the evening before bed.
Preventing pressure ulcers. Promote
But how do they move when they in bed if they can't move at all?
He did. Oh.
Somebody got to come in there and.
You gotta flip them folks while they sleep.
Yeah.
I ain't finna flip
Well,
them.
they probably at night they don't like during like resting time. They're not gonna go in there and be flipping you unless you just got this ulcer so bad that you need to not have that pressure on you.
Can they remove it?
I don't know.
That's nasty. The bed must be dirty.
Huh?
Jakara, it's so, I know y'all hear her over
We
here.
do. I don't know what's happening over there.
It's here, like, I can't believe some people refuse to take a bath.
Oh, you still on that?
Oh.
Yes, they do. All right. Provide good skin care. Bathe the patient regularly and keep the skin moisturized. Clean out bedpans immediately after use and make sure the skin is free of urine and feces. Keep bed linens clean and dry. Change sheets regularly, especially for patients who perspire heavily.
And what does perspire mean?
Sweating.
People take care of. Oh my God, this is like a nursing home. The hospital is nothing but another nursing home. Just a little building.
What is the key to preventing pressure ulcers? It's the what?
You can encourage her to walk, like to move around. The first,
The hearing ain't finna quick.
the first one.
That's why she wanna go make it.
Decrease skin pressure and promote cleansing.
All right.
Please promote the cleansing.
Please, what?
Please promote cleansing.
lesson summary. In this
That's so nasty.
All right, we're gonna look at moving up in the bed.
Lesson
I'm gonna let y'all
learned.
work on y'all's
After
project.
moving up in bed,
Oh.
when the head of the bed
So I think what I don't know. I don't remember what y'all scenarios are. When the head of the bed is raised, it is easy for a patient to slide down. Sliding down causes shearing on the tailbone, which may lead to pressure ulcers. So, you know, if you're sliding down, that means your skin is going the opposite direction of where your bone is. That's how your skin starts to shear.
We're doing older, so
Yeah, and your skin be thin. It's
Yeah, but
cold.
y'all be saying old folks with saggy skin, it be so soft.
In
I'm sorry.
addition, sliding down in bed creates poor body alignment and is uncomfortable for patients. Healthcare workers must learn the procedure for moving a patient up toward the head of the bed. Two techniques for this procedure are moving a patient with a draw sheet and moving a patient without a draw sheet. With a draw sheet is a lot easier.
procedure for moving up in bed with a draw.
Alright, so a draw sheet is used to move patients who cannot move themselves, are unconscious or paralyzed, have spinal cord injuries, or are elderly. Two healthcare workers are needed for this procedure. Individual agencies may have specific procedures that their employees must follow. The following process is an example of a moving procedure that might be found in an agency.
Is a draw sheet stronger than like a regular?
No, it's just a sheet.
It is?
Prepare for procedure. Cleanse your hand. Ask a
Alright, so you're gonna wash your hands, ask a coworker to assist you, knock on the door before entering, address the patient by name, introduce yourself.
What if they do? I mean, what if they call when they can't hear you?
You still, I mean, you think they can hear, you never know what people can hear.
When they in a coma or something?
I still tell them what I'm doing. Cause you never know, like sometimes, you know, people say they hear stuff doing surgery and stuff like that.
They do?
Yeah, they'll
I
call.
thought they supposed to be halfway dead or something.
But that don't mean your hearing gone.
Don't they stop your heart?
No. Your heart, what?
It just like your heart, you could be dead.
They just.
Where?
It's innocent.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, make sure you stick to it's gonna be an RN.
They don't worry about me because I ain't putting nobody to sleep. I'm gonna be the one waking them up.
Now you gonna get
I'm be the one tapping on their shoulder. Hey, take this medicine. I ain't doing nothing.
Identify the patient by checking the
I'll
identification
watch
marker.
this time. Don't worry about me.
I'm sorry, I'm
We don't-
They can't be safe around me.
Explain the procedure to the patient. Provide the patient with privacy.
Sleep right.
procedure for moving up in bed.
Alright, a healthcare worker should stand on each side of the bed. You're gonna prepare the bed.
It's on the
Make sure the bed wheels are locked. Make sure that the bed is flat. So you need to make sure your wheels are locked and it just breaks. Make sure it's flat. Then raise the bed horizontally so that it is at waist level. But at waist level, you won't be hurting your back. Because if you got it down too far, you got to bend over. So it'll reduce strain on your back. If salt words are used, lower them. Place a pillow against the headboard to protect the patient's head.
Procedure for moving up.
Grasp the edges of the draw sheet with both hands. Use an underhand grip with palms facing up. One hand should be by the patient's shoulders and the other by the hip. So one down here, one up there. On the count of 3, lift up and move the patient toward the head of the bed. Shift your weight from your rear leg to your front leg and move in one swift motion. Or repeat these steps as needed until the patient is positioned. Remove the pillow from against the headboard. Place it beneath the patient's head and neck. So
Repeat these steps as needed until the patient is positioned. Remove the pillow from against. Procedure for moving up in bed with.
Alright, so you're gonna lower the bed. This is after you raise them. Gonna lower the bed horizontally. Position the side rails according to instructions. Raise the head of the bed according to the patient's needs. So you just ask them, you know, I'm gonna lift your head. I'll raise your head. Let me know when it's good for you. Make sure that they're comfortable and safe. Place the call signal within the patient's reach. Wash your hands. Report all actions taken. Any observations. When is a draw sheet used to move patients up in bed?
All of the above.
Right. Oh, we're gonna skip that.
Procedure for moving up in bed without a draw sheet.
Alright. Sometimes a patient may be moved up in bed without a draw sheet. 2 healthcare workers are needed for this procedure. Individual agencies may have specific procedures that their employees must follow. Following process is an example of a moving procedure that might be found at any agency. So you're going to clean your hands. You're going to ask a coworker to assist you. Knock on the door. Address the patient by name and introduce yourself. Identify the patient by checking the identification bracelet. Explain the procedure to the patient and then provide the patient with privacy.
Procedure for moving up in bed.
Alright, so a healthcare worker should stand on each side of the bed. Make sure the wheels of the bed are locked. Make sure that the bed is flat. Then raise the bed horizontally so that it is at waist level. This will reduce strain on your back. Side rails are used. Lower them because you don't want to lean. Like if you're over there trying to, you know, lift somebody up, you don't want to lean over the side rail. It could hurt. Place a pillow against the headboard to protect the patient's head.
Procedure for moving up in bed.
Have the patient bend both knees like that and place one arm under the patient's shoulder and the other arm under the patient's thigh. Grab your coworker's forearms beneath the patient's shoulder and thigh.
Place one arm under.
So like that. Explain that you will move on the count of 3. Ask the patient to push the feet against the bed. On the count of 3, move the patient to the head of the bed. Shift your weight from your rear leg to your front leg and move in one swift motion. Repeat these steps as needed until the patient is positioned. Remove the pillow from against the headboard. Place it beneath the patient's head and neck.
Procedure for moving up.
Alright, so after the procedure, you're going to lower your bed back. Make sure you position your rails. Raise their head to their comfort. Check that they're comfortable and safe. Give them the call light. Clean your hands and report all actions taken. Any observations. How many healthcare workers are needed to move a patient up in bed? If it's a big one, it might be more than 2.
Maybe 5 of them.
Big like
Ooh,
my cousin, you gonna need 10.
You ain't
Oh my
lying.
God,
They better not even call me for that. Cause I was like, what am I supposed to do? Alright. I know let me see how long log rolling is.
What you'll learn. After you finish.
So I know on Wednesday we'll talk about log rolling because I think it's one of these on here. So it's groups of 4. So one of them you got wheelchair to toilet transfer. I will get to toilet right here. Bed to wheelchair, there. Wheelchair to vehicle, there too. And then log rolling, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. So I don't know, y'all can figure out who groups y'all in and who gonna do what. So there's 4 people. It's 80 y'all, but it's just 2 groups of 4.
Like, don't we all have to do something? At least
Everybody has to be the healthcare worker. At one time.
So it don't matter which one we
I
do.
got 2 jobs.
Y'all just decide who wanna do which one you want, like which one you wanna be healthcare worker. Healthcare worker there, then that'll be you. If they wanna be out for that, so you gotta have somebody that's gonna be your patient.
I don't care if at least everybody needs to be healthcare worker.
Okay.
But I don't care about the patient.
I need to do a large family before I do mine. Which one
So-
you have?
In the group, right, Miss Ian said.
I don't want no younger.
It's a recorder, and then the patient.
Mr. Evans Wilson, I don't want no younger.
You said.
Everybody got to be the patient. I mean,
Oh, no, man, I do
healthcare
Alex.
worker.
So you can say I do it.
Well, come
I'll
on,
do
do
that.
it. How you communicate, how
How you
you,
gonna do?
It's
I don't know,
Oh,
if
you
you
in a
doing
wheelchair.
long
Yeah,
run, you might need to
wheelchair.
Come on, y'all.
So, y'all,
Russian.
so, Carla, who think you is?
I forgot about my sweet Carla.
Oh,
Not
Amy,
Carla.
I can get out. Now, flip. So y'all should have, do y'all have those chairs in y'all folder? Wheelchair, toilet, y'all got it? Don't y'all got it in y'all folder?
And my phone.
Maybe the transfer folder. Look at them all her little girl.
No, I'm trying when my four and stuff was my shirt was bad.
Oh, trust me, they did.
What they did?
What you say?
You don't let your stuff down to your ankles.
That says
It's
something?
not, yes, it's not even that, it's the fact
Yeah,
how
they
the
make the average
kids
right
are
here.
violating you, like, going through my entire person. Like, I got some personal stuff in there. Like, when you put it out on the table like that. Young folks, but they put dirt and I put it out on the table.
We already got 100 this week.
Yeah, me. I already did.
They said something, they said something. But I'm looking like y'all worried about the dress code, but y'all still haven't got our grades.